I never thought I would sit down and write something like this, but I feel like I need to let it out somewhere. Maybe some people here will understand me, or maybe they'll say I'm overreacting. Anyway, this is about what happened between me, my mom, and our neighbor. So, I live with my mom in a small 2-story house. It's nothing fancy, just a normal place, with a small yard in the front and back. We've lived here for more than 15 years. Our next door neighbor is Mr. Harris. He's an older man, maybe in his late 60s. Everyone in the street knows he's difficult. He complains about noise, he stares at people's yards, he has arguments with anyone who crosses him. But since he's old, some people in the neighborhood try to excuse his behavior, like, oh, he's just grumpy, don't take it seriously. Now, I always tried to be respectful to him even when he was rude. I mow our lawn, I don't play loud music, I don't throw trash around, but still, he always finds something to complain about. The latest problem started when he accused me of damaging his fence. It was about 3 weeks ago. I was taking out the trash and I saw Mr. Harris standing near the fence that separates our yards. The fence is old, made of wooden planks, half of them already rotting. He pointed at a piece that had fallen off and shouted, "You did this! You hit the fence with your car!" I was shocked because I never drive near that side. I only park in the driveway, which is on the other side of the house. I told him calmly, "Mr. Harris, I didn't touch your fence. It's just old. It was going to fall sooner or later." He didn't believe me. He started yelling, saying he saw me backing up too close to it, which is impossible. Then, to make things worse, my mom came outside because she heard the shouting. Here's how the conversation went. "Mom, what's going on out here?" "Mr. Harris, your son broke my fence. Look at this. He smashed it with his car." Me, "That's not true. I didn't even drive near this fence." Mom, "Are you sure, honey? Maybe you didn't notice?" Me, "Mom, seriously? You know where I park. It's nowhere near here." At that moment, I felt like she didn't believe me. Instead of defending me, she stood there nodding while Mr. Harris kept yelling. She even said, "Well, if it was our fault, we'll fix it." I couldn't believe it. I looked at her like, "What are you doing?" I told her, "Why are you saying that? You know this fence is falling apart. We've seen it for years." But she just said quietly, "Let's not make this into a big fight. He's an old man." After that, Mr. Harris calmed down a little, but he still insisted it was my fault. He said he expected me to repair the fence or pay for it. My mom didn't argue with him. She just said, "We'll see what we can do." When we got inside, I told her straight up, "Mom, why did you take his side? You know I didn't do it." And she just answered, "It's not about sides. It's about keeping peace with neighbors. You don't want enemies living right next door." But to me, it was about sides because I felt like she chose him over me. She didn't trust me, her own son, even though she knows I never lie about stuff like this. That night, I couldn't sleep because I kept thinking about it. And it didn't end there. The situation got worse in the following days, and that's why I'm writing this now.
The next morning, I was still angry about what happened, but I tried to act normal. I didn't want to fight with my mom. I thought maybe she would realize later that she was wrong, that she should have stood up for me. But instead, things just got worse. When I came downstairs for breakfast, she was already on the phone. I heard her say, "Yes, Mr. Harris, I understand. We'll take care of it." I froze for a second because I knew she was talking to him. After she hung up, I asked her what that was about. She said, "He called to remind me about the fence. He wants us to repair it before the end of the week." I said, "Mom, are you serious? You're actually going to do this? We didn't even break it." She sighed and said, "Look, it's just easier this way. Fixing a few planks is not the end of the world. Why make a big deal out of it?" That really hit me. It wasn't about the fence for me anymore. It was about her believing a stranger over her own son. I told her, "It is a big deal because you're basically telling him I'm guilty when I'm not." She just shook her head and said, "You're too young to understand. Sometimes you have to compromise." I couldn't believe my ears. Too young? I'm not a child. I'm in my 20s. I know exactly what's happening. She just didn't want to have any trouble with the neighbor, even if it meant throwing me under the bus. Later that day, I went outside to take some fresh air, and of course, Mr. Harris was there in his yard. He looked at me with the smug face and said, "Good thing your mother has some sense. I was worried you'd be stubborn." That was it for me. I walked closer to the fence and said, "Listen, I didn't break your fence. It's falling apart because it's old. You know that. Stop blaming me." He laughed and said, "Don't make excuses. Your mom already admitted it was your fault." I felt my face burn with anger. She didn't admit anything. She just doesn't want to argue with you. But I'm telling you, I didn't touch it. At that moment, my mom came out again and heard us. Instead of telling him to stop, she told me to stop. "Don't talk to him like that," she said. "We're not here to fight." I snapped back, "Why are you always defending him? He's lying. Can't you see that?" But she just gave me that look, the one that means drop it now. So I shut my mouth and went back inside, slamming the door. That evening, we had another argument. I told her, "You're supposed to be on my side. You're my mom. I need to know you trust me." She sat down at the kitchen table and rubbed her forehead like she was tired. "It's not about trust," she said. "It's about living peacefully. If fixing a fence will keep things calm, then let's do it." I said, "But it makes me look like a liar. He'll think he can blame me for anything, and you'll just go along with it." She didn't answer right away. Then she said, "Maybe it's better to let him think that than to have constant fights." I didn't know what to say. I just felt this heavy weight in my chest. It wasn't just about Mr. Harris anymore. It was about my mom choosing convenience over me. It was about her not caring how it made me feel. The next day, she even went out to the hardware store to buy wood and nails. She said, "We'll fix it this weekend." I told her, "I'm not doing it. If you want to fix it, do it yourself. I won't take responsibility for something I didn't do." She looked disappointed and said, "Don't be childish. Sometimes you have to be the bigger person." But in my eyes, being the bigger person doesn't mean letting someone lie about you. It means standing up for yourself. She just couldn't see it that way. By that point, I started avoiding both of them. I stayed in my room most of the time, went out when necessary. Every time I saw Mr. Harris through the window, I felt anger boiling up again. And every time I saw my mom talking to him like nothing happened, it felt like another stab in the back. And then something happened that pushed me over the edge.
That weekend came, and my mom was serious about fixing the fence. She asked me again in the morning, "Can you help me carry the wood? It'll be easier with 2 people." I just stared at her. "No, I told you already, I'm not doing it. I didn't break it, and I'm not going to act like I did." She frowned and said, "You're making this harder than it has to be." I said, "No, you're the one making it harder. You'd rather keep him happy than stand up for me. Don't expect me to play along." She didn't say anything else. She just picked up her things and went outside. I watched from the window as she carried the wood to the fence. Not long after, Mr. Harris came out too. He didn't even offer to help. He just stood there with his hands on his hips, pointing and giving directions like he was the boss. My mom listened to him, nodding her head while hammering the nails. I couldn't believe my eyes. She looked like his assistant, not like the homeowner who was doing him a favor. At one point, I heard him say loudly, "Next time, tell your son to be more careful." My mom didn't correct him. She didn't say, "It wasn't my son." She just kept quiet. That was the moment I couldn't take it anymore. I walked outside and said, "Stop talking about me like I'm not here. I didn't touch your fence. You're lying and you know it." He smirked and said, "There you go again, always denying. At least your mother has the decency to admit when something's wrong." I turned to my mom and asked, "Why aren't you saying anything? You know he's wrong. Why are you letting him talk like this?" She looked at me, then at him, and whispered, "Please, just go back inside. You're not helping." That crushed me. She didn't defend me, not even a little. She basically told me to shut up and let him keep insulting me. I felt like I didn't exist to her in that moment. I went back inside, slammed the door, and sat in my room shaking with anger. For the rest of the day, I didn't talk to her. In the evening, she came into my room and said softly, "I wish you'd understand. I'm not against you." I snapped back, Really? Because it sure feels like you are. You believe him over me. You let him blame me. You're even fixing his fence for him. How is that not against me? She sat down on the edge of the bed and said, "You're looking at it the wrong way. I'm trying to prevent this from turning into something bigger. We live next to him. Do you want years of fighting and arguments?" I said, "I'd rather have arguments than be treated like a liar. You don't care how this makes me feel, do you?" She didn't answer right away. She just looked tired and said, "I care. I just care about peace, too." I told her peace at the cost of your son's dignity isn't peace. It's surrender. After that, she left the room, and we didn't talk much for the next few days. Things were cold between us. But the situation didn't stop there. Mr. Harris now thought he could push even further. One evening, about a week later, I came home from work and found him in our yard talking to my mom like it was his place. He was complaining about the branches from our tree hanging too close to his side. He saw me walk in and said, "You should trim that tree before it damages my roof. I don't want another situation like the fence." I looked at my mom, expecting her to say something. Instead, she said, "We'll take care of it. Don't worry." I almost exploded. "Mom, stop saying that. It's not even his tree. It's ours. He has no right to tell us what to do." Mr. Harris smirked again, like he enjoyed seeing me lose it. He said, "Some people just don't respect their neighbors." I turned to my mom and asked, "Are you seriously going to let him control everything we do now? First the fence, now the tree. What's next? You'll let him tell me when I can park my car?" She said, "Don't exaggerate. He has a point about the tree." I shouted, "It's not about the tree. It's about you always agreeing with him and never backing me up. I can't even count on my own mother to support me." I stormed into the house and slammed the door again. At that point, it wasn't just about Mr. Harris anymore. It was about me and my mom's relationship breaking down. I felt betrayed, not once, but over and over. And the worst part was, I didn't know how to fix it. But the final straw came a few days later when something happened that I'll never forget.
The final straw came one Friday evening. I had just gotten home from work, tired and ready to relax. As I walked up to the house, I noticed Mr. Harris standing near the fence again, talking to my mom. My stomach sank immediately because I already knew it couldn't be anything good. As I got closer, I heard him say, "And about the trash cans, your son leaves them too close to my side. It's unsanitary. I don't want pests coming over here." I froze for a second. The trash cans are always on our driveway, nowhere near his side. He was just making things up again. I walked up and said, "That's not true. The trash cans are on our property, nowhere near you. Stop lying." He raised his voice. "I don't want to argue with you. Just do what I'm asking. Move them." Before I could reply, my mom spoke up. "All right, we'll move them further away." I looked at her in complete disbelief. "Mom, what? Why are you agreeing with him again? The cans are fine where they are. They're not even close to his yard." She whispered, "Please, not this again. Just move them. It's easier." I snapped. "No, it's not easier. You're letting him control us. First it was the fence, then the tree, now the trash cans. When does it stop?" Mr. Harris smirked, clearly enjoying the scene. "If you raised your son better, you wouldn't have all these problems," he said. That line broke me. I turned to my mom, waiting for her to finally defend me, to finally say, "Don't talk about my son like that." But she didn't. She stayed silent. I said, "Mom, he just insulted you and me, and you're okay with that?" She said quietly, "He didn't mean it like that. Just let it go." That was it. I felt something inside me shut down. I walked away without another word, went inside the house, and slammed my bedroom door. I didn't come out until late at night. When I finally went to the kitchen for water, my mom was there. She looked tired and said, "Why are you making this so hard? He's our neighbor. We have to live next to him. Can't you just try to be more flexible?" I said, No, Mom, you don't get it. It's not about being flexible, it's about respect. You keep letting him treat me like trash, and you keep siding with him. You show me over and over that keeping him happy matters more than standing up for me. She tried to interrupt, but I kept going. Do you know what it feels like when your own mother doesn't believe you? When she chooses a stranger over you? It's the worst feeling I've ever had. I feel like I don't matter in this house anymore. Her eyes watered a little bit, but she didn't say much. She just whispered, I'm trying to keep peace. One day you'll understand. I shook my head. No, I won't. Because peace without respect isn't peace. It's just silence. And I can't live like that. Since that day, things between us haven't been the same. I still live here because I can't afford to move out yet, but I barely talk to Mr. Harris, and honestly, I barely talk to my mom either. Every time she tells me don't fight with the neighbor, I hear it as don't expect me to stand up for you. Maybe she thinks she's doing the right thing, but to me, it feels like betrayal. Not once, but over and over again. That's why I'm writing this here. I don't even know if I'm looking for advice or if I just need to get it off my chest. Has anyone else gone through something like this, where your own parent sided with someone else instead of you? How do you deal with that? Because honestly, I don't know how much longer I can take it.